Have you ever felt that sudden cold draft inside a room with no open windows? That uneasy sensation that the walls around you have secrets they've been hiding for generations? Tonight on True Terror Files Official, we unravel one of the eeriest stories ever whispered about in the quiet town of Grendale Hollow. The mystery of the Forgotten Room, a sealed-off chamber inside an old Victorian house, untouched for over a century and known only through hushed local legends. What was kept inside? Why was it hidden? And what force lingered behind those walls for decades? Tonight, we'll find out. Michael returned with tools. As thunder rolled overhead, he carefully chiseled away at the bricks. Still here, something remained. Something trapped, and it had been waiting. Still here. Still here. Hours later, he pried open the doorway to reveal a pitch-black chamber, sealed for what looked like a lifetime. Dust hung thick in the air, and the temperature dropped dramatically. Inside, an old iron bed frame lay against the far wall, a tattered children's book resting on the mattress. Faded drawings lined the walls, childlike sketches of figures with hollow faces and empty eyes. It all started when Michael Gray, a property renovator from the neighboring county, purchased an abandoned estate known as the Ashcroft House. Its pages were brittle, its handwriting uneven and frantic. The entries spoke of a little girl named Clara Ashcroft, locked away in the room by her father, a man driven by obsession and fear. The final page was dated 1908 and read simply, "He watches from the shadows. I can hear him breathing when the room falls silent." Built in 1873, the mansion had been left empty since the mid-1940s, following a series of unexplained disappearances tied to the property. Brushed against his ear, he spun around, but the room was empty. The air grew heavier. The distant tapping returned, now from the floor beneath him. Dust rose with each tap, forming a trail that led toward a cracked section of floorboards. At night, faint tapping sounds echoed from within the walls, always between two specific hours. He brushed them off as the house settled. Doors he'd locked would be wide open by morning. Objects moved from one room to another. Cold pockets of air drifted past him on calm/windless nights. And though no one else was there, Michael would often sense eyes following his every step. Locals spoke in whispers about flickering lights, sudden cold spots, and a room no one could find but that everyone claimed was there. The corridor seemed shorter than it should be. Measurements didn't align with the exterior walls. There was space. Missing, it led him to an old section of faded wallpaper. Behind it, a crack in the plaster revealed the edge of a bricked-up doorway. His pulse quickened as he realized this could be it. The lost, rumored forgotten room. A room that, according to the oldest town records, had vanished from the house's blueprint sometime after 1910. Drawn by curiosity and the promise of restoring the estate, ignored the warnings. During his first week on the property, small signs of something unnatural appeared. One stormy evening, while inspecting the east wing of the house, a wing long believed to be cursed, Michael noticed a peculiar flaw in the hallway structure, driven by equal parts dread and fascination. What unsettled Michael the most wasn't the decay or the unnatural cold. It was the diary he found atop a small table in the corner. Michael's heart pounded as he read those words aloud, and then, as if on cue, a soft exhale, unmistakably human. The screen on Michael's phone flickered. The temperature display dropped several degrees in seconds, and a faint, rhythmic whisper filled the chamber. Michael knew then that this wasn't just an empty room. It wasn't a forgotten space reclaimed by time. After his terrifying experience in the sealed room, Michael Gray bolted out of the house, his mind spinning with what he'd seen and heard. Yet even as he reached the front gate, a strange pull made him hesitate. He showed her the diary and the room, still as cold and dark as the night before. Elaine's expression turned grave as she read Clara's final entry. What those recorders captured would become one of the clearest examples of unexplained phenomena in local history. The first several hours were silent, but at exactly midnight, faint voices began to emerge on the tape. Conversation, a child's laughter, an old lullaby being hummed. No one had been in the house. Within days, a small group arrived equipped with thermal cameras, EMF detectors, and motion sensors as they began their nighttime investigation. Their devices immediately registered anomalies, sudden cold spots, EMF spikes in the sealed room, and audible unexplained noises. The team's lead investigator, Grant Miller, experienced an overwhelming sensation of dread as he stepped into the room. His thermal camera captured what appeared to be the faint outline of a figure seated on the iron bed frame. She revealed that the Ashcroft family's history was darker than Michael had known. Even when the door was closed, soft tapping could be heard. He believed whatever held Clara's spirit, or whatever dark presence haunted the room, remained bound to an object or relic within the chamber: the diary, the bed frame, perhaps even the walls themselves. His plan was risky but simple. Remove the objects one by one, document any changes, and if possible, dismantle the room's remains. When left ajar, personal belongings left inside would move or vanish. The team's overnight stay was cut short when one member, Rachel, was startled awake by what she described as a soft voice murmuring directly into her ear. She bolted from the house, refusing to return. The patriarch, Thomas Ashcroft, was rumored to be deeply involved in occult practices, obsessed with immortality and communicating with what he called the other side. It wasn't curiosity this time. It was as if the house itself, or perhaps something within it, refused to let him go. Neighbors claimed to hear strange noises from the grounds long after the family vanished. None dared go near it, and eventually the location faded into obscurity. The weight of those whispered words, "still here," clung to him like a shadow. The following morning, determined to uncover the truth, Michael returned with a historian friend, Elaine Porter, who specialized in Victorian-era properties and local folklore. Listening back made the hair on their necks stand on end. The evidence was undeniable, yet when they entered the room that morning, it looked different. The child's drawings on the wall were clearer, as if freshly marked. The diary was open to a new page that hadn't been there the night before. Written in smeared ink was one phrase: "You see us now." Town records confirm that after a series of bizarre incidents and missing persons reports in the early 1900s, the estate was discreetly abandoned, its dark past buried under decades of dust and silence. Elaine suggested they document the space and set up basic audio recorders, leaving them overnight. The most chilling segment came around 3 in the morning. A clear, adult, male voice could be heard whispering, "She belongs to me." Then a knock, and another, as if something or someone was tapping on the recorder itself. Terrified but compelled, Michael and Elaine retrieved the audio devices at dawn. Elaine insisted they contact a professional paranormal team. An eerie pattern began to emerge. The activity spiked at specific intervals, almost as if following a routine, and always centered around the sealed room. Despite the danger, Michael was determined to end the house's torment. As evening fell once again, he gathered his resolve, preparing for what he hoped would be his final visit to the forgotten room. As darkness settled over Ashcroft House once again, Michael Gray returned to the decaying estate one last time, armed with a heavy flashlight, a crowbar, and a determination stronger than the fear gnawing at his nerves. The eerie air hung still, and every footstep echoed through the empty halls. The house felt heavier that night, as if aware of his intent. The plan was simple: enter the forgotten room, remove every object associated with the strange occurrences, and burn them outside on the property grounds. He reasoned that if a dark force lingered, it might be tethered to these relics of a tragic past. There, nestled between dust and old timbers, lay a small decayed wooden box. Its carvings were intricate and strange, symbols neither he nor the paranormal team could identify. Inside rested a withered locket, containing a faded photo of a young girl, Clara Ashcroft. Locals claimed the air around the estate felt different, no longer oppressive, but strangely peaceful. Grant Miller's team concluded that the forgotten room had served as a conduit, a prison of sorts, trapping both the innocent and whatever dark force had lingered there. By releasing the objects, Michael had severed the last tether to the other side. Paranormal teams confirmed that electromagnetic anomalies had vanished. The once cursed house had finally found rest. His breath clouded, and those familiar, unearthly whispers rose up once again from the walls. Every object lifted made the air grow heavier. As he approached the iron bed frame, the room seemed to resist. If you enjoyed this story, hit that like button, subscribe, and turn on notifications, because we uncover new horrors and true paranormal mysteries every single week. And remember, some houses never forget. Some claim to occasionally hear a distant child's laugh on the wind or glimpse a fleeting shadow in an upstairs window, but most agree that whatever haunted its walls is finally at peace. A low, guttural moan, not from an animal, not from a human, rumbled through the space. Stories like yours keep this community alive and remind us that the world is far stranger than it appears. The walls themselves almost seem to pulse, the old wallpaper shifting as if something beyond was pushing against it. The diary, which had remained closed since his last visit, lay open on the table, its final page now bearing the words, "Set us free." At the very least, it would break the oppressive hold this room seemed to have on the house, and possibly on him. The moment Michael stepped into the room, an unnatural chill overtook him. The heavy dread lifted, the tapping ceased, and the air seemed lighter. Michael left the room carrying the box and other artifacts. That night, a controlled burn was held at the edge of the property. Every item tied to the house's dark history was consumed by flame, and for the first time in over a century, Ashcroft House fell silent. One by one, he removed the child's doll, the tattered book, and the diary, placing them into a canvas sack. With a surge of courage, Michael used the crowbar to pry apart the rotting wooden floorboards beneath the bed. The temperature dropped again. A single whisper filled the room. "You found me." At that moment, the atmosphere changed. In the weeks that followed, Michael noticed a profound difference. The house remained still. No more tapping, no more voices. Elaine documented the entire experience in a special archive for the town's historical society, noting it as one of the most thoroughly investigated hauntings in the region's history. To this day, Ashcroft House stands empty. If you've ever encountered something you couldn't explain, a sound, a shadow, a sensation of being watched, share your experience in the comments. Thank you for watching another chilling encounter here on True Terror Files Official.